Please welcome back Albert Serra.
Funny, eh?
All right. So you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong here, but this was so first you staged this as a play at the Volksbühne in Berlin, and then it was an installation. Yeah, that was in that order, and then it was the film. I'm curious how what your experience of that kind of movement from the stage to screen was like, and I'm especially curious if it at all informed your approach with the actors in the film this time, because it was originally a piece for theater.
Well, I don't know. The problem is that in theater I was a little bit. There was two things. First thing is that I was obliged to pick up some actors in the theater because it was from the ensemble of the theater where we were doing the piece. So I was not very happy with to pick up theater actors because I don't like them as human beings. So I was not very very happy. And in fact I was right because as we work with them, I realized that I was totally right of not liking them because they were not likable, because they were stupid. So this was the main problem. But still, I convinced some actors, different kinds of actors. It was a sacrilege in the theater wall, because I mixed them, the very actors from the ensemble, very professional actors from theater, with casting I did on Facebook, people that didn't speak German. So it was in Germany, the original play. So I don't know, it was a strange thing. But there was another thing. But I managed to create some kind of confusion still with the theater play. And this disorientation you see in the film about the night, or the lack of logic of the night, or these ideas were a little bit inside the play, the theater play. And in fact, one of the critics that review, that bad review against the film, wrote a sentence. I really like it, because he said 2 hours and a half of actors abandoned on a stage. So when I read it, because it was negative, I said, fuck it, this was exactly the sensation I was looking for. Because of the pressure I did, mixing and a lot of things. But still, when I was there, and in fact I decided to make the film, not me, but some people that attend the theater play during the Berlinale Film Festival, and people coming from cinema and say, why don't you do it on cinema? It will be for you, your style, it will fit perfectly to your style. Just pick up the people, go to the forest, and do the same, plays in a more crazy way. I said, okay, why not? Well, and we find the producers, and they decided to do it. But then I realized, a very important thing, that is that the camera zoom. The camera zoom. You're in theater and it's boring because the human eyes do not zoom. So you are far and you don't see anything. So, and if you are close, you disturb because you are close. But the camera, no, you are far and you don't disturb people. I mean, you don't bother the actors, but you can zoom. This is that the camera can really, put attention on things that the human eyes cannot do it. They do a work. So for me, this was it was not a discovery, but because all my previous films were based on this idea that the camera has a potential that the human eyes don't have. So, I mean, and I don't know. I was in the shooting of the film, and a lot of things I discovered it on the edit, and in the sense that I realized that you cannot see that things. I was there and I was unable to see it because human eyes cannot see these things. They can only see it through the camera because the camera can zoom. It's not tired. The camera, doesn't listen to the sound. The camera doesn't have ideas. So it means that the camera does a job that the human eye cannot do. So, with this potential of the camera, with this potential of zooming, especially with the close-ups, and then you can penetrate intimacy because camera is far and zooms, not bothering, and having a part of the reality that, and the actors, even if they are intelligent, what it's already a paradox, because an intelligent actor is already, impossible thing, but even if they are intelligent, they never think this idea that as the people is far, the camera is far, everybody is very far, but that the camera, will select and will focus and with a lot of precision will do a job. And, they know it. They know how it works. They know how it works, a camera. But they forget it. They cannot control this. It's too much for them. Because the camera are far. If the camera were close, it will bother them and it will interfere. But the camera doesn't interfere and can capture something that they cannot control. So for me, this is this is like a dream situation. It's a win-win situation with these idiots. Because, I don't know, not idiots, because the actors I use for cinema I selected myself, so I respect them, and it's not the case exactly that with the theater piece that I really didn't like some of them, but here no, it's people. I mean, I respect some of them, but still I am always surprised that they don't know how it works. And okay, even if I respect them, they start to have a lot of vanity since the very beginning of the shooting. What it's always amazing to discover. Because you realize you were nobody before. It was a Facebook casting also for the film. How in 1 day or 2 days you are already in a star. What is also the potential of the actors, what I like, and they are able to transform thanks to this strange behavior. That from rational or moral point of view, it's quite non-understandable from normal people. But okay, they are there, and then they are crossed. They are, transformed by something. I don't know exactly what, vanity, essentially. But in this case, with the fragile aspect of nudity, it creates something really interesting. In all films, it creates something in all my previous films. But this one especially, there is something that it really touch intimacy in a strange way. And since you are naked, I don't know. It's normal people. I mean, this is not actors. Even professional actors, they don't tolerate or they don't allow to be, to be shooted naked. So it's because it touches something that you cannot control, or that I don't know, that you lose control of something. At the same time, there is more tension because you want to control your image and you want to be there, and I don't know. It's a strange mix, and I like this idea. And with the camera, as I said, a little bit far, and with always 3 cameras, with my classical setup, this was very interesting, and I don't know. I like it, and it reflects something that it's strange. It's inside the actors. It's inside our time. It's also something that reflects the 18th century, because more or less the film is inspired in the period psychological and philosophical mood, the 18th century in this case, and it's a strange mix of a lot of things. And I think that I guess you realize that the film, it starts like an innocent, decorative, stupid plot, like I don't know, some aristocrats that want to kidnap some nuns, and okay, blah blah blah, not very funny, but gradually, slowly, the film transforms into something totally different, and this is what I like. The first time I did, the first time we saw the first draft of the edit with the editors, I was shocked because of this. They said, "Fuck, I don't understand the film. I don't understand what's going on here, because we start with the plot, and then the plot dissolve, or the plot collapse in some sense, and without moving of place, of people, with the same costume, the same place. The film is just transforming in something at least slightly different and more trash. The attitude of the actors is different. I don't know. It's and the insane, or a little bit the frustration gets higher in a way that can be only contemporary. This kind of metaphysical frustration we feel, and this is because you get tired of the film at the very end. You really, the film it's really demanding in the sense that when you finish it, fuck, it's over. Hopefully, And in fact, there was a lot of people. I wasn't checking here because I was always very upset because I've been not a lot because it's my fifth or sixth Q&A of this film, but I was waiting outside, and there is always 5, 3, 4, 5 people leaving the theater when it's 5 minutes left or 10 minutes left. They spend 2 hours there, and then they cannot stand the film and they have to leave. They know that it will be in 10 minutes or 7 minutes it will be over. Yeah. The pain, if it was really painful. But I mean, just 2 hours and just for 7 minutes, not, Yeah. But it's something that it goes beyond, your thing. And I think I understand the moment because it's when he touches again over the pants. That you see at the very end that is like that starts a new cruising and the guy touch over the pants again. That for me it's very provocative. Yeah. Because you're at that moment seeing all these things and you see the guy again touching over the pants. If he was touching inside or naked or whatever, it will be not so provocative. But as it touches over the pants like this, and you said, fuck, no, again, no. You understand that there will be no illumination, no meaning, there is nothing new, no? That it's the never-ending frustration and that the film will go really on the dark side and that, simply it's over for you as a normal spectator.
Yeah, I mean, but I saw the play and that was that effect.
You were there. I didn't.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
Yeah, and the effect of this,
the
sort of exhaustion effect, totally different. Because it's for a play, it's not so long. It's about the same length as the film. A little
bit longer. Was 2 hours and a half, 2 hours 25. Maybe this here is 2 hours 12.
Yeah, but it was. I think it was totally different. But I was. Yeah.
Well, it was the effect on the audience was also a little bit painful and a little bit disorienting.
Yeah.
In with theater means, but the idea of being really disorienting and being a little bit painful, but at the same time, but here it's more. It's more. It touches the intimacy also of the audience. Yeah. There, it was based on the rhetorics of the language of the spoken words. I couldn't really reach what the exact point of, even if at the end I was happy because I said, as everybody of the theater people hate it because, they don't want theater to evolve because they want to be always safe in the safe territory because, actors on the stage, they want to communicate with the audience and they want the applause at the end. So here is totally the opposite, in fact, because there in the theater you want the applause. You want to communicate, you want to feel something, you want the audience to feel something with you, and but here was the friction, the cold friction, totally, direct, cold friction. Nobody cares about you. You are abandoned, but you even don't have to communicate with anybody. And my system, it's always based in non-communication with actors, non-communication with technicians. So they are really abandoned, but in a different way. But the cameras are recording. So all this process, it's being, I don't know, they don't care about the audience, but at the same time, they expose themselves in a different way, maybe more, I don't know, more delicate. Delicate in the sense that it's more, can be more dangerous for them. Because the cameras, they do the job permanently and there is no escape to the cameras. You can escape the audience because you are in control in theater. You can escape because you simply turn down and you do your own thing and, when you don't feel comfortable, you are in command. But not in cinema, not in nudity, not with 3 cameras recording. You're not in command of anything unless you are a master and it's impossible. Mm-hmm. So... here I think that this idea that they expose in a different way, and that intimacy really becomes an important part of the subject of the film, and the film is contemporary just because of this, because of the friction.
Yeah.
So it's an important aspect, I think, because the film for me, every shooting, not only this film, but all my previous films, I don't know what I am doing. I don't have anything to say. It's a performance. So I am not looking for anything. I don't know. I don't have any kind of idea about the subject or any kind of ideology or any kind of point of view about any actor. I like to discover during the shooting, their qualities, their strengths, their weaknesses, and to play a little bit with this. So what they do, I don't know, it's up to them. And in fact, I never ask anybody to do anything in the film. Well, no. Well, there is one guy that is a very close friend of mine, the one they pee over him. This I asked him if he mind. Do you mind that will pee over you? He said, no, don't worry, no problem. What was very kind from his side, because here you see twice. There is a girl, and then the guy that pees over him. But as we shooting like a performance in a very different way, in the real shooting where was like 12 in a row that were peeing over him. So on the edit there is only 2, but so this was a little bit funnier, and it was funny, and because this is another interesting thing I think of the ambience of the film, because you have to create like a playful ambience a little bit, because people will not do these kind of things if it's not in a playful mood. But if it's playful, it's lacking energy. So you have to put some tension, some, I don't know, a little bit some violence or some bad energy too. Because for me, if there is no this bad energy, there is no intensity on the images, and there is no, and the ambiguity increases a lot, even for them, for the actors, in their mind. So it's a fragile equilibrium, but with the playful side and the tension, but you need the tension. And it's the job of the filmmaker to be there, and the tension is always difficult. It's not an easy thing. You never know when it's too little or too little or too much. Too little, it's correct. Well, when it's too little or too much, you never know it. It's very difficult to, and with every actor is different, with every situation is different, every combination of actors. So it means that you have to be very careful. But at the same time, if you are too careful, it doesn't work, because you have to, for unexpected things to provoke rebellion, you have to push. If not, they will never be rebellious against your ideas, and they will never give something unexpected, and they will never give something you can, no? So to make them rebellion, you have to push them, and you have to, And for me, it was very important always, the rebellion aspect of actors, because it gives something to the film that you cannot achieve in a different way. You cannot get it there is no shortcut, or there is no fake way to there is no way to fake what rebellion of actors, real rebellion, because it's due to real tension or real differences of, I don't know, of ideology or of character or whatever. What this will give, you can, for the reason, it's always ridiculous when I see some filmmakers, and that everybody agrees in the same ideas, and the actors are there just to support, to represent the ideas of the filmmaker. It's so boring. But with rebellion, like in Warhol style, we are in New York, we are in Warhol City, so he was an expert of creating this kind of rebellion, or this kind of mix between the person, the actor, this is the person with the vanity of being shoot, and the character, and to play, totally, 33% of these three, dimensions of the same body. So to really play strongly with this, or smartly and strongly, but at the same time innocently, because as a filmmaker, as I said, you are also you are like an actor. I behave like if I was an actor, in the shooting, No, I am not. I don't feel I have more power. Then what happens that it's so kind, and they really share like the artistic goal of the film, in fact, in the deepest part of their minds. And as they share this, they never have total, absolute rebellion, because they share this. So this puts a little bit of less respect on their behavior. But I don't care. For me, it's like being an actor too. I feel like if I am an actor, I don't feel that I have more information than them when we are shooting, or that I have more power or more. No, because I have the same information. I don't have. they have more information than me, in fact. If they were smarter, if they were smart, the actors, they will be really in control of the film, in some sense. Well, the system, creates 3 cameras, no rehearsals, no combo, no... it's difficult to be in control in these conditions. And even with professional actors like Jean-Pierre Léaud or Helmut Berger or whoever, I think that, they realize that it's impossible to really fight against this system and to try to impose something that really, comes consciously from their own. If something will be imposed, it's because it will come unconsciously. But consciously, I think it's very difficult. Well, I don't know. It's complex ideas, but
Yeah.
it's like how the shooting works, and especially with this nudity and things.
The eroticism in the film reminds me most of in your previous films, Story of My Death,
Yeah.
and I was thinking about that film during your introduction when you were talking about night logic and the logic of night and the movement. In Story of My Death, from rationalism and daytime and Casanova on to romanticism and Dracula and nighttime. I was curious. I was hoping you could elaborate a little bit on sort of some of your thinking about this idea of the logic of night and sort of how it's expressed in the film.
Well, yes. Well, the night has this logic that it's how to say. I don't know if it's English this, but auto-consummation. That you, consumer.
Like unconsummated?
No.
Unconsumed?
Consumer. That there is no, in the day life, one day you do something and you develop, and the day after you develop what you did the day before, and the week, you develop. There is like a progressive development, and there is, but in the night, no. Every night, you consume the night, and it's, next night it starts from zero. There is no progressive knowledge, there is no progressive development of anything. The idea of the night is that, it's like that it destroys itself. It's there is nothing, For the reason, it's like the logic of drug addicts that go through the night, that every night it's a new start of nothing, at every night. And it's that, and also the people that it's in charge of, nightclubs, the owners are very corrupt people, just because of this. Because for them, the logic of the night is that they will not be judged. There is no moral, because every night is like the end of everything. So, and this idea that there is no possibility of progressive behavior to improve anything, to just spend. No, like spending. It's not. You can never earn anything personally, morally, unless you are very, very strong. But since you go in deep with the idea of the night, the logic puts you on this, on this kind of psychological, strange mood where, there is no. It has no sense to. So it's interesting because this idea of arbitrary, the arbitrary side of desire, it's very adaptable to the night. To the day life, it's not adaptable because it has to be. It crosses with a lot of progressive and moral, knowledge and more behaviors, and so it doesn't match. But in the night, yes, it's perfect, because even the normal people, they escape, they try to live in a different way. And okay, you can put it nice, not in this like frustrated way. You can try to put it in a harmonious way with the harmonies between the bodies, and that there is some kind of communication between bodies. But nowadays, I think, due to the social media and all these things, it's impossible. People is such in self-control of their image, and they cannot abandon themselves. There is no generosity anymore. So you see the image of the 60s, or for example, look at any documentary of Woodstock or whatever. Do you think these people were, you see the people there, and you see these people were controlling their image? They were thinking about themselves. You see the individuals. You see every face of that documentary, everybody, You see that they are thinking about themselves, or they are thinking about if the partner or the person in front of them is handsome or ugly or rich. Do you think that one of these girls think one single moment, one single second during Woodstock if the partner in front of them were rich or poor? Or, older or younger, or handsome or ugly, or men or women or whatever? Well, okay, you know what I mean. We're not thinking about this. It was another ambience, another atmosphere. So maybe there was some kind of possibility of the utopia of harmony. But, the idea of the libertinage, it's more interesting because it doesn't come from idea of harmony. It comes from the idea of, impose your gift. Your gift is the generosity of giving. But you have to impose this utopia. So it's already a paradox, because in utopia, it looks like that it cannot be imposed. But I don't know. It looks like contradictory in itself. The idea of an utopia that it doesn't come naturally. But libertinage, as in Marquis de Sade, or even not such in a subversive way, but all utopias, to impose them. But if not, it doesn't work. So maybe magically you can have an utopia like in Woodstock or in the 60s, but it doesn't last longer. Because people get simply tired. And nowadays I think that it's impossible. So some kind of the frustration or the dark side of the film, I think it comes from this idea that people is simply, too self-conscious and too self-focused. And I like the film when, there is a character that says, "Donner, donner, donner, no, donner, donner, no. Donner, donner." Nowadays is everybody is, what I feel, my feelings, my desires, my needs, my rights. Fuck your rights, fuck your needs, fuck your desire. Think about others and give, not receive. And the utopia of cruising area, that it's, like contemporary cruising area, nowadays it's more associated with the gay thing. But, okay, imagine that this was totally invention, cruising area of not gay, but, in the 18th century. So it's this idea of abandon yourself to others and give them what they want, or impose them your gift to them, which is even more scary. Well, it's totalitarianism of desire, but in a generous way. It's very, very paradoxical and very strange. But, well, I don't know. But I like that it's, because it's the arbitrary side of the night. It corresponds very well with the arbitrary side of desire, so I like it.
But and what you were just saying about libertinage and people imposing their wills, also, it reminds me of sort of the way that brands circulate in the contemporary world, and it occurs to me that here, it's the one in some respect, the film is kind of about the French trying to export a specific brand of libertinage to the Prussian court in the late 18th century. So
but this is intimacy is involved in this concept. So you give part of you, you risk something of you. They are talking about that they don't find safe places, they have been abandoned for the French court, that it's delicate for them. Also the way they expose sexually, it's also delicate, also for the actors. Forget the characters of the film, concentrate on the actors. So they expose themselves in a way, that corresponds, or that matches quite well the way the way the characters expose themselves in risky situations historically and whatever. Marquis de Sade went to prison for a lot of years. So of course, it's a complex thing because went to prison for some acts, but also was such a complex because it's about fiction, about how far fiction can go, and well, this is another problem, but. I don't know. For me, it was very nice to work this way. To really create a fiction, but where, contemporary feelings of people, real people, penetrate in a totally period film. And in this mix, in this merge, or in this, clash of cultures or sensibilities or For me, that was something very, very unique. Because the film is still is I don't know, a period of fiction, ridiculous, decorative. It's very baroque. It's very, it's very, I don't know, aesthetic. The idea of making like a Fragonard or a Bateau, trash. This was the main idea of the film, and I don't know. It is very strange film, in some sense.
We should take some questions from the audience. Yeah, we'll start over here.
I have two questions. So the first one is.
Wait, there's a microphone.
Okay, I have two questions. The first one is, how did you structure the film? Is the audience supposed to discern some kind of order or sequence in the episodes portrayed, or is the order of the episodes arbitrary?
Yeah. Well, this was, it's difficult to say. Because it was like one of the key points of the film. It's this idea that the confusion of the point of view, also the perception of time and space. This was the key point. And if you live, this lack of logic of night, it happens like this. You are in the morning and you say, I don't remember what I did or what I felt or what your memories of the night are quite confusing if you go in deep with it. So we wanted to reproduce in the edit this idea of that point of view. It's totally confusing. You never know who is looking who, what is the objective point of view of the camera, if it's subjective or objective, if the film is looking at you as an audience. I don't know. It's very, how you can participate with the film. And it gives something very new. And not new, but that we lost, I think, in cinema for a long time. That it was the idea of a screening of cinema, that it's a lot of people, come on, screening, and that everybody really feeling something particular and personal, and feeling it with other people around, that you can a little bit feel the tension, not the tension, but, the concentration, and that, you are sharing it with other people, and that it really makes sense of a public screening. You lose this feeling since a long time ago in cinema in general. We are used to watching the films alone at home, TV series, and even the films you go to the cinema. There is not this atmosphere that you really, it makes sense to share this. And this is possible thanks to this idea of that. Okay, it's a little bit crazy, the film. It's a little bit disorienting, but you can fulfill it with something from you. So, and for this reason, we create a lot of strategies, small, sophisticated strategies on perception of point of view, time, space. For example, if you see the film, it's very done in a very subtle way. But all the ellipses. This was a little bit on the Louis XIV at the second part of the Louis XIV film. But for example, here you see that there is ellipse on the image. It looks like that. Okay, one shot, the next one, there is some other people. It looks like different angle, new actors. It looks like that there is another moment, but the sound is totally continuous. The sound, it doesn't mark any kind of ellipses. And the opposite. Sometimes, you see that, we are here. There is, the next shot is from another side or the same side. It's the same character, the same place, but there is an ellipse on the sound. But it looks like that was, on the image is totally continuous. That was the same action going on, it's the same place, the same people. And so, we lose, but done in a very subtle way. So the idea of, really creating this world that it's totally hallucinatory and unstable on the perception of the physical, even the physical coordinadas, the physical,
Coordinates.
Yeah, coordinates. So, was very important. Also, obviously, and I like, for example, something we didn't talk yesterday, that is the dialogues. The dialogues of the film are quite strange. Because if you listen to them, it's sometimes it makes some abstractions. They talk in an abstract way. So, sometimes in a very lyrical way, very abstract way. And it's quite rare that when the dialogues are useful to understand anything relevant. Even when they talk about kidnapping, and it's a very long dialogue about kidnapping, it's full of, it's a mix of, we'll be able to kidnap them because I dream. It's because I dream that we'll be able to kidnap them. So, or I don't know. They know it, but they know it from a very dark, knowledge. Or it's full of very, I don't know. So also the dialogues are not used in a way that will underline, some kind of logic. They are like floating. These dialogues there, they do not correspond to any logic reality of what these people are doing. It's always like in Tarantino film, Death Proof. It's full of dialogues. It doesn't correspond with any action or with anything. Done in a better way here, more sophisticated and smarter. But the sensation that the dialogues really do not correspond with anything, that they have an entity in itself. So everything was done with this idea of creating a wall that, okay, because the logic of this wall, it's totally true, because we had one single space, it was always the same. We used night balloon, helium balloon, night balloon, constant light all the time, would help a lot to use any shot of the film we could mix on the edit. We had 300 hours of rushes, so we could pick up any shot of the film and mix it in any part of the film of the edit. So nothing of this happened in reality, almost nothing, because everything is constructed like a super artificial thing. And in fact, 30% of the shots are composed. This is that they are in post-production. They are a mix of 2 or 3 different shots. Almost 30, I would say 30% of the shots. So, for example, the oppressive side of the film, that push you and it's really tiring. It's because it's visually tiring. Because when I saw a shot that I thought that it was not enough baroque, enough complex, enough full of elements, I said, mix it. And we pick up, some other shots at the same place, more or less the same moment that we could match. And it's very easy because as the forest has irregular lines, with the trees, and it's very dark, and, you can mix easily. Even we did it on the editors. We didn't need any external help for some of the shots. Yes, we need external help. But for most of the shots that we compose from 2 or 3 different shots, just to make it more baroque, more tiring, they are more obsessively demanding, for you as in your eyes and in your comprehension, to really disorient you more, was just because of this post-production. So everything was done to create a structure that was totally aleatory, and of course there is an evolution of this idea that it starts, especially with the dialogues, that it's like a plot, normal plot, 18th century, some privileged people, aristocrats, want to kidnap poor people. But then, even the social logic starts to collapse also, and then you don't understand anything. You don't understand who is in command of what, and who is looking for what, and who is giving or receiving, or so I don't know. And also, for example, on the making of the things, you cannot know the truth. For example, of the weeping scenes, there is 2: one of the girl and one of the guy. Just after. So it's almost the same moment. And one was done for real, almost. Not almost. It was totally done for real. In the real shooting. And the other one was more or less fake, different. There is a little bit of post-production. The edit is more. So, but you don't know which one it's real, which one it's not. It's also, again, this idea of, where you wake up in the morning and you don't know what you did or what you didn't do. You don't remember exactly what happened. So here, the artificial with the totally organic, it's exactly in the same level. You don't know it. And even the actors, they don't know it. Because it's the power of the camera, as I said, this potential of the camera, of being far, not interfering, but at the same time zooming parts, zooming things that the actors cannot control because they are not simply able. They are not enough smart and not enough powerful. They can control these 3 minutes, but not for hours during several days. So it means that I don't know. There is a great gap between what they are trying or they are pretending or they are trying to control, of their own image and what the film gives you. That it's much more. And for example, and it's totally the opposite of the contemporary world of nowadays, as I said, that people is in control of their image, they don't risk. Here even you don't risk, you are in totally risky position. If you are naked and there is 3 cameras and, and it's violent people around, it's risky. So, I like this idea that the gap between, as I don't have any idea of what I am saying, I don't have anything to represent, I don't have anything to show, I am there as an actor too. So the gap between what they were thinking they were showing or giving or, or performing and what they did at the end, it's a huge gap. I was in Cannes, I was tired of the film because I edited the film, so I knew everything by heart. So I was bored during the screening, but the actors were next to me, seated in the same row, not next to me, but a little bit further. And it was funny because I was there and I was just looking at them when they were watching the film. And I can tell you, they were totally shocked. They didn't recognize themselves at all. They were saying like if they were foreigners or I don't know, extraterrestres, ¿cómo es esto?
That works. Extraterrestrials, aliens.
These people, that they didn't recognize themselves. It was like totally very strange feeling for them, I think. Well, they enjoy it because it was fun, and artistically, the film, you feel it's strong. You feel it. You don't know it. But, I don't know, this gap was huge. And it was not, it's not like that you are stealing moments of them, because this is another story, typically like a stolen moment. But this is not a stolen moment. It's hours of stolen moments. It could not be stolen, because it's impossible to steal so many things. So it's a different procedure. It will be explain this, but it's not even stolen because I don't steal anything. I don't have anything to steal. I don't like them. I don't care about them. So it's I don't know. It's very difficult to explain, but.
Well, we're out of time.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know, but it's will be a longer conversation and on detail, on some aspect of the film we should talk on detail. It's more.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. Thank all of you.
Thank you.